This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, do you think the Dallas Cowboys made a right decision on sticking with Mike McCarthy?
Good morning, guys. That's a heck of a poser for me right to start here. I can't get into the middle of – look, Dallas had a really good year, and they got upset in the playoffs by a team that has a lot of momentum. I feel for them. I like Dak personally, and I hope they have a better season next year. I did kind of want them to hire Bill Belichick, so the Falcons didn't touch him, but we'll see how that goes.
I saw the Falcons interviewed not just Bill Belichick, but Jim Harbaugh. If given the choice of only those two candidates, Tom, which one would you roll with?
Well, I mean, they also hired a lot of defensive coordinators currently in the league. Harbaugh would be intriguing because, he's been in the NFL before and been successful. So, I don't know if you want to call it a theory or whatever about the Spurriers and the Sabans of the world who tried their hand in the NFL and weren't successful. Well, Harbaugh did it the reverse way, kind of. And so he's proven to be able to build successful programs on both collegiate and professional levels. His San Francisco teams were really good. They could beat us in the playoffs.
Yeah. Would the quirkiness work in today's NFL? I mean, he's got a quirky personality. His brother seems to make it work. They're different creatures, but I just wonder if his personality would work with these players.
That's a great question, and I mean it did with the Niners back when, and but it's the league, I guess, and attitudes maybe have evolved since Harbaugh was last in the league, but. I don't know, with a proven track record, if you treat people right, you can get good results out of them. And so I don't know. I don't know what he'll end up doing. He's in a weird position. He didn't coach in, 6 of the games, and yet he's got a ton of leverage now too. So you could tell Michigan is trying to work out a deal with him, and maybe that will be the end result. But yeah. I don't know. Of all the people we've talked to, Harbaugh seems like it'd be an interesting guy to bring on board, and maybe we can find a good, productive quarterback and find our way next year.
It's always nice when your options on the table are being rich or richer. I mean, that's just kind of where he's at. Hey, let's talk about this basketball game the other night, and then we'll peek ahead to Saturday's game. Arkansas with a thrilling victory at the end, Tom, after holding a 20-point lead in the first half. Tremont Mark was phenomenal with 35 points. You saw it slip away. Arkansas got the benefit of the A&M timeout, and Mark makes the game-winning shot.
Yeah, no doubt. The script was flipped a little. I mean, they had a huge lead, and you're like, wow. They get up 20 points. A&M was ice cold. I mean, Tyrese Radford just kept shooting, and it wasn't his night, and he just kept driving, and he kept shooting, and he kept missing, and the lead got bigger and bigger. But facing reality, if they had lost that game, that would have been one of the most bone-crushing losses you could have imagined. So, but as Eric Musselman said, they got the ball into the hands of the guy they wanted it to, in Tremont Mark at the end of the game. I was surprised. I had gone down. I had already filed my notebook by then and was watching in the media room. And after the Taylor 3, there was an immediate timeout. I'm like, I thought Arkansas was out of timeouts. A&M called it. It went, no question, it went to Arkansas's benefit. I was a little surprised they didn't pressure more in the front court. Mark had, as he said, a head of steam. I mean, rolling toward the basket past midcourt, and it worked out perfectly for them. It goes through with a 1.1, and then A&M really doesn't get up any kind of a quality deal. The ball goes out of bounds. So huge win for the Razorbacks. Because if you couldn't have imagined being 0-4 with a loss like that, coming through.
Tom, you're talking about Tremont Mark. Do you think he can shoulder the load that's going to be necessary for this team to keep winning games?
Well, he's a proven scorer. I mean, and he's got his game is so good that, as Eric Musselman pointed out, his mid-range jumper is a good one. That's the type of shot he made there. A little closer than. I don't know, I guess mid-range starts around 8 or 10 feet. But they do need, Trevor Brazile played a bunch of minutes in that game, and it seems to me that his personality is such that he doesn't have to be kind of the lead dog guy, but he's a guy who's thought of as a high potential NBA draft pick. I would want him to be a little bit more forceful, sometimes, Tremont Mark like, and just doing it, sometimes. And I don't know how this team's going to evolve. It's interesting that you have a really good team. Everyone has to kind of accept their roles, and in this game, Mark and L. Ellis and a few other guards played, and it came at the expense of Khalif, his minutes, and Pinion, who had got minutes in the last game, and Blocker, and even Keon Minifield a little bit. So those guys can produce. This to me has just been a fascinating study in how you take a super talented roster and try to dole out the minutes. And it's a game-to-game basis. Who's following the game plan? And that's what Musselman pointed out after the game. Who's following the game plan and doing the things we need? And I hope to see more battle in the coming games. But certainly Mark proved that he can handle, not just a game-winning shot deal, but like the load of the offense almost the entire game.
Tom, you bring up L. Ellis. His three biggest games were the exhibition game against Purdue, where he took over in overtime, the game against Duke. He's playing basically his hometown team. He goes for 6 of 6, has a solid game. And then, again, Tuesday night, their first SEC win, while he didn't shoot the ball great, 3 of 11, he knocked down all 8 of his free throws, had 6 rebounds, a career high. I mean, do you see him being a steady Eddie, their point guard, maybe over Minifield like we thought he might transition, just based on his veteran aspect, and he's just a little thicker than Keon is?
Well, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, I don't know if he can do it because he had that long stint where he didn't get very many minutes. But, the little thicker part you bring up, that really paid off with his rebounding. I mean, he played bigger than his size. And the free throw shooting was phenomenal and much needed. They had a much better free throw shooting first half. Second half, not so much. But Ellis was in there, and I do think that earned him more minutes moving forward. He had a pretty good game against Old Dominion also. And I talked to Jeff Jones, and by the way, prayers to him with his health situation. But he talked about when it came crunch time, L. Ellis and these veterans took over that game. And so we've seen how good Arkansas can be. It's just a matter of can they produce this level of effort on a night-to-night basis starting Saturday with South Carolina.
All right, so you get South Carolina. They're coming off a loss to Georgia, 74-69, same night Arkansas played on Tuesday night. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. They've certainly a much better program this year. Lamont Paris, good turnaround. I mean, you take Ole Miss, South Carolina, and probably Georgia as the 3 teams that have, kind of switched around their mojo from last year. If Georgia had held on in that home game against Tennessee where they came back from so far down and then built an 11-point lead, and then Connect took over and they lost it. If Georgia had held on to that game, we'd really be talking about them because that was a big deal going to South Carolina and winning. So, Michie Johnson, he's going to get his. You've just got to rebound with them. And to me, rebounding is a big, big deal of Arkansas holding on and improving as we move forward here. So I look at it as somewhat of a toss-up game. Whoever shoots the ball well, rebounds, and makes their free throws will have the best chance to win.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.